Hey guys, XJ here, and today's going to be the new quests and boss Vorkath Battle for Fertility sneak peek that we got. I think they had a stream about this, but I didn't watch that, so I'm just reading this. I already read this a little bit, so pretty much it's going to have a story, normal, and hard mode of the fight, okay? And story mode doesn't have any of the unique drops, but normal and hard mode do. And hard mode is just an increased chance to get the drops. So if you want all the drops, you can just do normal mode. So it's a new quest. You have to do the quest, and the quest has a story mode version of the fight. So you'll have some experience before you get thrown into the real version of the fight, I guess, so to speak, by doing the quests. So try to learn the mechanics and maybe not rush through it if you want to learn, maybe what to do and how things work. Because one of the best settings to learn is when you're not taking that much damage. I'm sure normal mode will not be that hard. Probably like tier 70, tier 80 necromancy are recommended, but the hard mode's probably gonna be tier 90. So how it's gonna work this fight is there's gonna be these three fonts around the map, and essentially, at least I believe. So I don't. So in hard mode, you can't attack these at all. I think you just go straight to the boss. Okay, but in normal and story mode, you can choose to attack one of these, kill it, and it'll remove a mechanic from Vorkath. You can then kill another one, remove another mechanic, and I'm not sure if you can kill the third one, or if you can't kill the third one in normal mode. I honestly forget because they worded it very strange. But you can just kill two, then run to Vorkath. I'm not sure where Vorkath is, maybe over there or something, and then fight. Uh, Although I actually think there's going to be probably a teleporter, by the way, because I believe north of Fremnik there's an island that's full of ice that I don't think has been used for anything. So you might like teleport, and that's like where you fight Vorkath maybe or something. I don't know. Uh, you can also choose to do in story mode and no, not in story mode, or maybe the quest version. The quest version you are forced to kill at least one of them, but in normal mode you can just choose to run past all these and just go to Vorkath wherever he is, and just fight him. But then he has all three mechanics. But in hard mode, again, you have no choice. It has all the mechanics and probably a little bit more damage. So that's how that works. Do 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 do. He is also solo or group. They don't say whether it's going to be like duo, trio, or 4 or 5. They don't say. Kind of wish they kind of said how many people, but because like my issue again is, what if you're like, you have 4 friends or 3 friends or even 2 friends? Let's go do Vorkath. Oh, it's a duo boss. Well, sorry, buddy, I'm picking him. So I kind of would like if they said how many, because I think people, I don't even group with people really, but there's plenty of people out there that would probably be like, hey, let's go do a workout together, but they don't know how many people, it is. So I think they should have probably said how many people you can take in a group. Do 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 do. So yeah, in normal mode you can take up the other 2 pieces of power. So yeah, they because they word this so strange. Because they say this phase. I'm sorry, I'm just reading this because I know it's boring just to read text, but like let me read this to you. This phase, the siege phase. This phase sees you facing off against hordes of the undead as they advance on the walls of your fort. It's not necessarily just a case of smashing through them, though. Remember, they're emerging from 3 places of power. You can choose to simply cut a path through the undead and straight to Zemmergol and Vorkath, if you like. So skip all the run to them, or you can take some extra time to squash up the 2 other sources of power, the other places of power. This will remove some special attacks from the subsequent boss fight. What do you mean the 2 other? When did they say destroy one and then go to the boss? Like, I don't like how that's worded. I don't think that makes any sense because there's 3. That unless that implies you can only pick 2. That's what I was very confused when I read this. So I'm not sure you can destroy at least 2. I'm not sure if you destroy the third one. So I don't know if there's a choice. Because in story mode it says you'll need to smash all the places of power. So on normal mode, you might only be allowed to kill 2. So yeah, story mode actually, I don't think you can actually learn all the mechanics that way. Yeah. Oh yeah, it says in normal mode you can smash one or both optional places of power for an easier boss fight. I almost feel like they should have said you can't choose to destroy all 3. Like I think they should have said that instead of like I just think it's not super clear. That's all. Because there's Stage Show 3, but then they say the 2 other, which like is like destroy one and then the 2 other ones. That's how you would say that. So I just think the wording could have been a bit better. Um, If hard mode is just skip and right to the boss fight, so a lot of people are gonna do that, and that's probably better kills per hour. Again, the one thing I worry about is I hope it doesn't end up like an elite dungeon scenario with Zamorak, which we just had, where instead of having to do 25 fights and then you can skip the Zamorak, it's just one. So it's like, what's the point of having the elite dungeon? I kind of hope that hard mode is quite drastically harder, so that people have to do normal mode and experience this. Otherwise, why do we make normal mode? You know what I mean? So I hope that the difficulty of hard mode is at least high enough that people aren't encouraged just to skip the hard mode. Because another issue, again, is after you complete story mode, you can just do hard mode right away. It's not do story mode, complete the quest, then do normal mode, beat it once, and then do hard mode. It isn't like that, which I feel like it should be. I like when the game's like, it puts you like, do normal then hard. Like, why? I don't think you should just unlock hard mode automatically. Again, just one kill in normal mode unlocks hard mode. But again, I do hope that normal mode isn't like dead content and like it's better for news. But my worry is that watch hard mode be easier than normal mode, simply because like, what if it's like tricky to kill these because of how many mobs there are and how much damage you take? So that's my concern right there. Again, I don't know because they don't say again. Rightfully so, they don't give too much because they want it to be a surprise. But that's just my concern going into this. Is I hope it isn't something that a lot of people avoid simply because they don't skip to the boss, and I hope it isn't so because you have to spend time in normal mode. Well, that's not necessarily true. Sorry, I forgot. Is you can skip all three of these and just rush to Vorkath in normal mode. Again, we're not sure how long it takes if you have to kill mobs anyway. Like, it doesn't say how you get to Vorkath. Like, do you have to kill something and then go to Vorkath? Is there like a mini boss or something? So we'll see. And I do hope that it's relatively balanced. Obviously, hard mode should be more rewarding, but I hope normal mode just isn't left in the dust for those who don't have the what it takes or just the gear. Or usually, it's just the gear, honestly, to do the boss at a higher level. Um, I hope the dragon is gonna beat up, honestly, because he's a nice guy. What else happened? Yep, they don't want to spoil things. Yep, approachable experience in story mode. Modular, which I think this means like normal experience, like just for a general player. Hard mode's a bit. Yeah, I don't think this will be too hard. Because it's similar to like, it's probably gonna be like the like ambassador Seru difficulty. Sorry, for 2023, like power creep, obviously. That's what I think this is gonna be, which I think is fine because of the rewards. Because I will say I like the rewards because I don't think it's too much. At least I don't think it's too much. So let's go back to this. So complete the quest gives a 30k lamp, which I like. Because if I believe what's our quest requirement to do this? 60 necromancy. 60 necromancy is like what 200,000 experience. So if you do this quest, you're gonna get, and you're 60 necromancy, someone new. I think you'll jump up to like 63 probably, especially with the mobs killed. So like 62, 63, you'll jump up to. Which I like. I do think quests in general should give, like, there's some quests like 1k XP lamp in strength and attack. Like, why not just make it 10k or 15k? It's something. I don't know. I just feel like they should just add a 0 to everything. Like, you complete this quest, 6k fire making. Why not just 60k? I'm not joking. Just add a 0 to everything. I'm not even joking. We should encourage quests. No one does them, and they act like it's a chore. And even though they're super efficient, too. So one thing that's interesting is it drops chests, and they're not like loot chests essentially. So like the picture showing, there's a story mode, normal mode, and hard version of the chest. But the one thing that I think this implies is that you don't need to bring your luck of dwarves during the kill. You can beat up Vorkath, and then, or Zemergul. Sorry, everyone says Vorkath, but Zemergul. It's Zemergul. He's the evil guy, not Vorkath. Um, you beat him up, and they say you do 10 kills in 1 hour. You can then put on your luck of the dwarves at a bank and open them all. So I like that you don't have to worry, because at bosses like Zamorak, it's annoying that like during this part where you might die if you like, imagine you have to put your luck of dwarves for Zamorak dies on part 7. So if you forget to put it, you might lose a drop. But if you don't, but if you do put it on, what if you don't have your you didn't get the kill because you didn't crit because you didn't have your Zerker ring on, or whatever it's called, or Reaver's ring, sorry, or you never Ring of Death on. That's something I don't like about Zamorak. I like that you can loot it after, and as long as it doesn't have some weird MTX thing, like I like I like, oh, treasure hunter spin. Like, I know it isn't, and I know some people are gonna associate this with treasure hunter, but it's essentially you beat the boss. Here's his loot. in an item. Open it whenever you want. That's all it is. Okay. At least I think that's what it is. So great. Okay. I will say this is a new range armor. It goes up to tier 92, so no tier 95 range. So it's interesting. So we have the elite Dracolich armor, I believe how it's said. I actually like how this looks a lot. It looks very cool. I like things that are different. I also like it when things are not symmetrical. As in, so it's as this robe, but I like the unsymmetrical. I like it's sophisticated. You know, look at Elite Tectonic. It's just a big football player. This is sophisticated. I like sophisticated things. I can't tell if anything else is different, but you know, again, even the chest is different. You see it points out with the little crystal there, then over here it isn't like that. I like it when it's not just the same. So I think that's cool. It adds depth. And this is the tier 90 armor. Pretty similar. It's just not frozen over. And this is the tier 75 for the baby noobs. Looks kind of cute, honestly. um, so you get so he drops Dragonhide. So the Dragonhide is probably a common drop to make the tier 75 armor. Probably disassembles it to some interesting components. Not sure which ones. You can upgrade it into the tier 90 version with the clobber spikes, which then the picture doesn't show it, but yeah, it's a new drop. You can upgrade the tier 75 set to tier 90, so no strength scales, but then you can boost it to tier 92 with materials that use the upgrade to elite strength armor. So ancient scales, algorithm thread, chaos spike for the chest, and prolic essence, which is Pernix armor essence. Which we call it. Um, Oh, was one thing I wanted to say is that this also implies that Tectonic and Elite Tectonic armor will be updated at some point when they make tier 92, another tier 92 power armor for Magic. And if we were to go off this, the regular Elite Tectonic and Tectonic will be based on Wand and Core or Wand Book, and the new tier 92 power armor is going to be staff based. I wonder what they're going to do because it'd be interesting if they did something different where like Praisal One, or not Praisal One, but Dual-wield was like some kind of multi-hit thing, and like, what if they did some effect where the staff was, I don't know, do we do crit? I don't know. I'm not sure what you would do. This requires a team discussion, but they're gonna do something like that when they make tier 92 Magic next, probably. Melee got lucky. They got the tier 105 DPS. That's a scam. So let's talk about the set effects really quick. So the tier 90 and tier 92 Dracolith armor has, per priest worn, Channeling Rapid Fire generates 0.2 for Dracolich, 0.5 for Elite Dracolich Adrenaline every 0.6 seconds. I'm not sure it means every shot. Is there a shot a second or 2 shots every second? I actually don't really know. So if you have a 5 piece, it's 2.5 adrenaline for each 0.6 seconds. I'm not sure how long it channels for. But I mean, it's at least four. It's at least going to be 4 instances of this buff, right? So you get 10% adrenaline for a rapid fire. So rapid fire, at minimum, based off my very limited knowledge about this, is only 5% adrenaline if you let the whole thing go. And while wielding a bow, so Bow Last Guardian, Hex Hunter Bow, Noxious Longbow, or even Decimation, or whatever it's called. I think that's what the bow is called. Channeling Rapid Fire for this full duration grants Dracolich Infusion for 3 seconds, increasing your chance to critically strike with range attacks by 20% for Dracolich, 40% for Elite Dracolich. By 40% for Elite and 20% for regular, so it's just doubled if it's Elite. And the set bonus 4 and 5 is just increase it by 1.8 seconds each. So if you have the whole 5-piece set of Dracolich armor, tier 90 or tier 92 actually, the buff is 6.6 seconds. So the only difference between the armor is the adrenaline gain through the rapid fire and the crit chance. I will say, I, I will say, I'm just gonna talk about this right now. This seems a little bit high, especially in beta. It's gonna be absolute bust in beta, but again, they are gonna be, I believe, making auto attacks for all the styles. Like it's gonna be necromancy. Like so, range is gonna have an auto attack button and complete different skills, and not completely different, but like maybe you can spam bombardment. That'd be pretty cool. So I'm not too worried about this. Like it might be very strong in live right now. I mean, the thing is, range is already super strong. I hope everyone knows that it's already super strong if you have all the pieces. Okay, but a lot of people don't have all the pieces, so they don't realize how strong range is. I will say though, people are gonna make videos. I already know in the beta of them using this 40% crit buff. It's gonna be absolutely busted. You're gonna see insane things. You're gonna see part 7 Zamorak die to 1 Stern Gabo, 28 Ks, 5 times 5. That's what you're gonna see. So that's my concern. If this is too strong, because again, this I'm not sure how strong it will be in the game. It's obviously going to be strong because it's better than the no set effect we have with current Elite Sirenic. But you have to play around rapid fire, because I'm pretty sure everyone, based on the videos I've seen of like people doing Rockstar speed kills, because I actually do watch sometimes just to see like, how strong is this, and what's the general rotation. They actually do let the whole rapid fire channel, so this is a buff, but I don't think they'll use it at first. So it's only a buff for like the middle of the rotation. I'm not sure if it'll change the rotation. We'll see if the rotation changes. Um, but yeah, if it's too strong, I would just make it 10% with regular and 20% with elite or something, because 40% just sounds insane. Because then you have biting 4 with level 20 armor, so it's 48.8% crit. Kagura Demon plus scroll. So then you have 54.8% crit chance. Is there any other sources of crit? I really don't think so, honestly. Yeah, 54.8% crit chance. Oh, Grimoire was a 12. Wow. So yeah, you have 66.8% crit chance. That so you're guaranteed, like you're almost like so like 2.5 shots are gonna crit with certain Gobbo every time. High likelihood of all shots critting. That just sounds like a problem, It honestly does. So that's I mean, again, range is already strong. So if it's OP, they're probably gonna nerf it. But again, it's already strong, and maybe it's designed around, or maybe the design is with mind. What if the combat changes go through? But it's hard to say whether or not that's the intention, because the beta wasn't even a given to be greenlit. So we'll see. Again, it's interesting, but I will say the next thing is going to be the dual wield effect, or even the Eldritch crossbow. So any crossbow, so Blightbound crossbow, Ascension crossbows, or Eldritch crossbow, I believe, has an effect. So when you're having, this is the Sirenic top and legs. While wielding a crossbow, attacks have a 6% for a Sirenic, 12% for Elite Sirenic, chance to trigger the effect of enchanted dragonstone bolt. So I believe all those bolts do is like 2 or 3k damage against monsters. So it's a little bit extra damage, especially with like rapid fire and stuff and great ricochet. Like when you if you great ricochet with Elite Sirenic, essentially an extra 3k hit, which is interesting. Set bonus 3. While wielding a crossbow, attacks have a 6% or 12% with Elite Sirenic, chance to trigger the effect of either enchanted dragonstone, onyx, or hydrix bolts. It's interesting because this is a flat damage increase with Dragonstone bolts. However, Onyx bolts heal you, but they also deal more damage, and Hydrix bolts give you adrenaline. So I think the Elite is obviously going to be a little bit better, simply because Onyx does do damage and Hydrix gives adrenaline. But you can't control when. I don't think you can control when this happens. But I will say I like this effect more because this, to me, I like randomness in the sense of, let's say I'm 50% adrenaline and I use Greater Ricochet. Okay, I'm gonna get 9% adrenaline, so I'm gonna be 59 at minimum. But what if I got lucky and I went up to I don't know, some crazy scenario could happen when you crit five Hydrix effects. I mean that's kind of crazy if that happened. But imagine if you use Great Ricochet, and you went up to 100% adrenaline. Because all 5 of the hits were Hydrix bolts. Then you could use Death Fitness or something, or even the crazy, I don't know what it's called. That one where you're like doing this or something with that ultimate ability. Unload. That's what it's called. So I like this more because you have to like adjust accordingly. Oh, maybe I'm low and I used a Stern Gabo and I healed a lot. Now I don't have to eat food. I think this is a lot more interesting than just crit. I think crit, like, it's not necessarily boring, but like it's worrisome with how much we have, because like Grimoires are such a prominent pocket slot items, and I don't know. I just don't want every build to be crit. So I like the blight pounds because I think it's a step into a better direction than just crit. Like this is new and interesting. This is just like we're making crit better. But again, it adds a new play style of having to play around rapid fire. And one thing I will say that people probably won't say is rapid fire tends to people tend to be confused about rapid fire. Like, oh, when do I end rapid fire? You know, like because like is it when the buff icon goes away or when it doesn't? I think in the beta they actually added clarity and like when the buff icon goes away, that's when it stopped. And like I think in live right now, when it hits 1, that's when it stopped. I think so. I honestly don't even know. Uh, but when you get the buff, that you'll know, oh, that's when it ended. So then you can try, okay, this rapid fire. Okay, I think this is the last shot. Use an ability. If you get it, you know that was the end of rapid fire. If you don't, you're like, oh, I'm supposed to wait 1 more second. So I like things where you kind of learn how long something's a channel for through the gameplay of like the armor or weapon. So I actually like this because it actually teaches the player what the full duration of rapid fire actually is through, this like, oh, I got a buff. So I like this. That's what I liked about this. It's not about the crit chance. I just like that it tells you. Um, so the Necromancy Nexus. So I believe this is just going to be a pocket slot item. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's going to be a rune pouch. So you can cast incantations while equipped. So on top of carrying runes, it also carries ectoplasm. So right as soon as the 20th hits, you can make the Death Warden Nexus, which is it's made using necromancy materials. So probably in solid cloth or something like that. And then there's Zemmergirl's Nexus, which is obtained upon defeating the boss 100 times in either normal or hard mode, or a combination too. So you can probably do 50. I mean, I didn't say a combination, but I'm assuming you can do 50 hard mode and 50 normal mode. So the effect of Zemmergirl's Nexus is it increases the level of bone shield provided by your bone shield incantation by 15. So if you're using greater bone shield at 120 necromancy, it's going to be 75 damage reduction a hit. Like when someone hits you, it's reduced by 75. If you're using lesser bone shield, it's going to be 45. My own concern, I mean, I don't think it's that like it's strong. It's obviously a power creep. But my question is whether or not it's necromancy only. Because it says type necromancy, so I would hope this only works when you have necromancy on, but probably not because I'm not sure if rune pouches say magic, for instance. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna say right here that I like it when you have to like even darkness. It should only work maybe with necromancy tank armor or only necromancy at minimum. So I like this if it only works with necromancy. I because all the styles already have like range has 60 damage reduction. Uh, melee has 60 damage reduction. Like so they just get 75 now. So so then you have to balance bosses around like, okay, well we can't make a boss have a bunch of 100 hits because it's reduced by 75 with all styles. So I feel like they're kind of maybe even limiting their design space a little bit because I mean Anime Dead already kind of does a good job at that because it's like 200 plus damage reduction a hit. So um also, I think you can animate that and Bone Shield on at the same time. I think you can. I know you can't have Darkness and animate that on, but I think you can get Bone Shield in that, so that's pretty powerful. Again, they don't say whether or not it's Necromancy only or if it benefits all styles. I'm assuming all styles because every time I think it's only Necromancy, it's only Necromancy. I mean, it's all styles. Every time I think the opposite. So we don't have a new Conjure, sadly. But we have a new incantation, Lord of Bones. So when you cast this incantation, I believe it'll actually disable your darkness because darkness says it turns you. Darkness already has a description. You can only have one incantation on at a time, unless they changed it with this. Um, but you cast this, it lasts for 30 seconds, and each hit of your skeleton applies a stacking debuff that lowers its defense, and it caps up to 200 times. I'm not sure how much it is per stack, and I'm assuming that each hit refreshes all the stacks, and maybe it just all goes away if it runs out. This isn't really that useful right now. It's only useful literally at like Talos a little bit, because Talos has like, I think with Necromancy tier 95 armor and 120 Necromancy and overloads and stuff, you have, I think it's like a 92 or 96% hit chance, so it's a little bit of a buff, but not a whole lot. Plus, you get the disable darkness. And I guess for Virago, it mostly helps people at like Virago, I guess, where your hit chance is really bad. It might even help at, I guess, raids. Like it helps at some older bosses but like they're already pretty easy. So I guess this is just for like some newer content. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be useful for Vorkath. Maybe Vorkath has a mechanic where he gets super tanky or something, and who knows? I don't really know, but it's interesting because it can be useful. It's just currently it has very limited uses. So it's interesting, but we'll see how it plays out. I just don't think you can have Darkness on at the same time. New pet Vorky with an I, not Y though. Cute. And some new. I'm not gonna talk too much about this. I mean, it's just essentially the Golden Party event, except for these cosmetic offhand and main hand for Necromancy. And the buff, instead of being 28 days once you complete it, is going to be 14 days. You have November 20th to December 3rd to finish it. And you can just keep on killing Vorkath if you want to get all the shards. Um, so I think it takes like 30 kills. First kill, you're guaranteed a shard, but then you just, every 30 kills, you get another shard. So you just kill Vorkath 361 times, and you'll have all the shards if you want. But, I mean, while you're doing that, you'll also get the combat one. You'll get the Marks of War one. You'll also, I mean, if you do rune score, I mean, I'm sure you'll probably get rune score from killing Vorkath. You'll probably get, you probably do Wilderness Flash events. So this is pretty easy to get, honestly. So um, whatchamacallit. So they didn't give the damage reduction buff, which is very interesting, and I like that because whatchamacallit. It's, it doesn't necessarily make the game easier in terms of combat, because it's interesting that the Golden Cape buff happened and no one complained, but then people complained about the Zamorak damage reduction buff. So I guess they just got rid of it entirely to avoid potential backlash. I'm not sure. Maybe they listen to some people. Like, I even says things like, "Why do we allow Golden Cape, but then we have an issue with Zamorak damage reduction buff?" Um, and people flip flop because then they say, "Oh, it's the issue of it being pay to win," but even though it is not, and but the Golden Keep works everywhere, not just one boss, and also at limited uses. The hero pass has limited uses. So again, it's just gonna be infinite porters. Once you complete the event, you're gonna infinite porters for 14 days. So great time to train archaeology. Maybe plan when you finish this, because then you can go and um just get. I'm probably gonna just get 200 mil archaeology because yeah, that's like the only use of porters. I mean, there might be some other things, but like archaeology is the biggest victim of using porters. And there's a passive regeneration buff. Your life points, prayer, and summoning points regenerate by 10% every 6 seconds while outside of combat. So that's pretty long just to get 10%. It has some applicable cases, such as at Zamorak. You can take a break inside Infernus and get HP, although it can be bad at Hardened Rages. So I don't. That's like my concern. I just think of bosses where you might be able to be out of combat and regenerate, but it's really just the life points, and I don't think it's too useful because then Zamorak starts regaining HP. This is also in general very strong for skilling, and also probably very strong for doing the summoning obelisk at Menaphos, because when you're doing the summoning obelisk, you take HP. So I think if you have this buff, you can 100% AFK the summoning obelisk. It's just nice for skilling. Like, it means when I do archaeology and get 200 archaeology, I don't even need to break restores, but I have infinite summoning points and also prayer points. Oh, prayer points too. Yeah, you can also leave Chronicle Attraction and Light Form on while skilling, and you won't run out of prayer. I don't think you will. Yeah. So that's pretty darn good. That's a really good buff for skilling. So if I honestly feel like this is a big skilling buff. So try to plan accordingly. And it says buffs can be enabled or disabled by Mr. Bonnet or Bonnet Jr. at Fort Friendly at any time after you have completed the hunt. The buffs are available to use for 14 days once you complete the hunt. Disabling a buff will not stop the 14-day timer that begins once you earn the buffs. Why would you ever want to disable it? Just for a video, maybe? Like, this is how, like, what if I wanted to make a Zamorak guy, but I had the buff on? I guess just turn it off. Yeah, because I mean, I just don't understand why you wouldn't turn it off. Like, you would want to turn off the Golden Cape because it doesn't record kills. They don't say whether or not having the passive regeneration buff makes you record kills or not. So again, lack of clarity there, honestly, because what's the point of turning it off? Like, they should maybe say you can have this on and it'll count the kill, or you can't have this on, so you would want to turn this off. So again, I'm not sure. This is a lack of information, in my opinion. Overall, it looks good. Again, I like the Blightbound or the crossbow effect. I'm just concerned about the crit chance. Maybe make it 10 to 20%, honestly. I think it'd be solid. I just think 40% is way too high. I really do. That 40% is insane, bro. Like, Greater Conk doesn't even give you that much crit chance. I don't know. Because it also depends. I will say, it depends if, well, No, no, I was gonna say like maybe only the first hit it benefits from the 40% crit chance, but no, it's just again you're buffed with 40% crit chance for 6.6 seconds, so it's very strong. Um, yeah, it just depends on what their plans are. So that's what my thoughts are. Overall, looks pretty interesting. I don't think it's gonna be too hard, which I like. Some people like they ever since Sirenic came out, they're like we have to have a harder boss. Like I don't think the game should just keep on making harder and harder and harder bosses. You know what I mean? Like if the lore is applicable, yeah, let's have a hard boss. You know, it depends. Like I'm sure this boss is gonna have plenty of one-shot mechanics like Stereo Ambassador if you do something wrong, which is great. You know, as long as it again good clarity. You know, so like for instance, Ambassador's Boom Roasters like literally one shot you if you go in there for like 2 seconds less. But you know, obviously just don't go in them. So yeah, we'll see. I'll just leave it there. I think it's alright update. So yeah, bye bye.